The Cleanrot Knights fought beside the Melania the Severed during her war against Radahn, and they wield the Cleanrot weapons capable of launching holy based attacks. But how would their cosplay function in practice against players and bosses? I'm Bitesized Otaku, and in this video I'll be recreating the Cleanrot Knights and seeing whether or not a player can get just as much utility from them as the Knights themselves. But like the video and give it to me bite-sized. So the Cleanrot Knights wear the Cleanrot set, which comes with a fashionable chest piece, giving us good defense, and 58 poise, which will act as a brilliant starting value that we can improve on later. But in terms of our weapons, the Cleanrot Knights use their sword in their right hand and a scythe or spear in their left hand, and this comes with a few problems. For example, the Cleanrot Knights have a retaliation attack they can perform alongside a buff or an impaling thrust, which unfortunately we don't have access to, and we also can't use the skill of the weapon in our left hand. So this means we would have to put the spear or scythe in our right hand to use the skill, or two-hand the weapon to make it work. But I've decided to stay authentic for vanilla purposes. The Cleanrot sword is equipped with impaling thrust by default, and I've opted for a quality infusion to benefit from our strength and dexterity investment. Then we can have the Cleanrot spear that uses the weapon art's sacred phalanx that erupts multiple spears from the ground in front of the player. The Halo Scythe launches a ring of light towards the enemy, and this can both be chain casted, and the weapon can ignore damage negation from shields. We're not using any talismans or spells, and I've opted for a quality investment of stats on the level 137 Vagabond, but let's take it out for a spin. So it feels a bit weird having our weapons reverse, but it means we can make full use of impaling thrusts, which can close the gap between opponents quickly and bypass shields. The Cleanrot sword is brilliant for poking players to death, while the spear has brilliant range, a double striking heavy attack, and a weapon art that can catch players for brilliant damage, and the Halo Scythe is great for punishing ranged or defensive players, as the rings are quite large and have slight tracking, making it effective for countering at close range or getting past blockers. In PvE, having the Halo Scythe is a lifesaver against bosses, as the rings can stagger smaller bosses or deal good damage against larger foes with tracking, helping to catch enemies who dodge. The spear is less useful but works well at a distance when used with the sword, but will still struggle with slower attacks and low poise, which can leave you exposed to damage. But having to constantly swap out our weapons from one hand to two hand is super cumbersome when fighting, and our weapons aren't doing the best damage at the moment. We don't have access to those unique attacks that the actual Cleanrot Knights have, which makes wielding our weapon this way somewhat pointless. We're also getting staggered quite easily out of our attacks, making it difficult to perform weapon arts or counter opponents. So let's make some small adjustments that will make a huge difference. Let's swap our weapons so the Cleanrot sword is in our left hand, and we can infuse it with lightning and sacred blade, so we can gain some bonus damage from our dexterity, and the ranged attack option, which will give us a holy buff when used. We can keep our stats and weapons the same, but add in some talismans, namely the Shard of Alexander, the Spear Talisman, the Crimson Amber Medallion +2, and the Bullgoat's Talisman, which will help boost our damage but also our poise and health. And by making these minor adjustments, we will greatly boost our effectiveness in combat, as we can now use our weapon arts right away while delegating the sword to offhand thrusting at close range, which can do brilliant damage and stagger damage. The spear is brilliant for ranged thrusts, as well as staggering the opponent with the weapon art that has great synergy with the Cleanrot sword for massive damage, but the spear can miss opponents, allowing you to use the Cleanrot sword when they get close. Then the Halo Scythe can damage people at close and long range with good tracking, with even the initial sweep causing damage and potentially staggering enemies when hit. And with our increased poise, we can trade hits with enemies far better and pull off weapon arts to give us the upper hand. But to wrap things up, while we're not able to do a truly authentic Cleanrot cosplay, we can pull one off that gets the job done and is super effective in combat, giving us close and long range options for attack. But what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and of course subscribe. This is Bitesized Otaku, and I hope you enjoyed.